Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. We're so excited that everyone can join us this morning. And it's always fun to be able to come back, even virtually, and do these types of panels to just let everyone kind of know about our different paths in public service and how we got here and how grad school and the Bush School may have played really integral parts in that. So, welcome to everybody that's joining us today. Just a little bit about myself. I'm rounding out, I think, as the oldest. Um, Graduate or former student on the panel. I'm from the class of 2007. My name is Crystal Beecham. I received my graduate degree in public service administration with a concentration in state and local government in 2007. I graduated from the University of New Orleans in 2005. And currently, right now, I am the Communications and Special Projects. I can't even say my title. Communications and Special Projects Director for the Parish of Caddo. Most of you live in places where you have counties, but here in Louisiana, we are always different. And so we have parishes. And so I am the communications and spokesperson for our local parish/county government. And I've been in that role for about 8.5 years. But prior to that, I have worked at the state level for two of our governors, at the federal level for a U.S. senator, and actually some nonprofit too. So just kind of rounding out the different fields of public service. But I can definitely say that I am doing the work that I thought I would be doing or that I wanted to set out and do when I entered grad school. So that all worked out great. But grad school played a great and integral part in that.
Good morning, everyone. Mary Christina Riley, and I am a Master's in Public Service Administration, graduate from 2014. Since 2014, I've actually been up in Washington, D.C., and I currently work as a professional staff member on the U.S. House Education and Workforce Committee, and I focus on higher education policy. I've been working in federal education policy for the past 10 plus years, also spent some time at the U.S. Department of Education, and of course then in a couple different roles on Capitol Hill. So happy to talk about executive branch and legislative work. I'll also say I came to the Bush School with a deep interest in education policy, and both at like the Bush School and at Texas A&M in general. I think there is a great concentration of wonderful practitioners and professors that focus on education policy. So I'll just put a plug there. While I work at the federal level, obviously education is at the state and local level most prominently. So I'm happy to discuss today all my interactions that I work with public servants in education and even workforce development at all those levels. And obviously there's a dire need for those types of professionals in education and workforce. So from my graduate degree, I was able to take away a lot of skills for, federal policymaking, policy analysis, but also some management and skills that have greatly helped me and benefited in the years to come. So
I'm Reagan Rothenberger. I graduated with a Master of Public Service and Administration from the Bush School in 2017. I currently serve as the Director of Community and Economic Development for the city of Murphy, Texas. That's a small kind of affluent suburb, northeast DFW, touches the east side of Plano, if you know where that is. So kind of looking back, I always had an interest in local government. Had a family that was very active in local affairs growing up. I had a grandfather who was a county court judge, and from a very young age, I kind of learned the value of the impact that local government and being at that level you can have on everyday citizens and individuals. And so when I came to the Bush School, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in local government. Over time, I gained an interest in city management. I'm kind of on that path. Along the way, I got looped into urban planning, and the rest is history. So I am somewhat on the path that I started out with when I hoped to get into when I came to the Bush School. And it certainly prepared me well for that. So,
real quick, howdy everyone. My name is Matthew Fawcett. I graduated from the Bush School with a Master's in International Affairs with a concentration in Europe, cybersecurity, and intelligence. I've been working for the Department of Defense in one capacity or another since 2018. I will say, going into the Bush School, I knew I wanted to be a public servant. I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do, though, and the practitioners there kind of helped shape my vision and my path forward. Ultimately, I think it was about helping people. My background, I've covered topics to include cybersecurity, ongoing conflicts, food security, water security, all the crazy stuff going on. And that will go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tyler Hosford. I graduated with a Master's in International Affairs in 2014, same class as Mary Christina. I currently work for International SOS. I'm a security director based out in Santa Monica, California. Prior to that, I did work for the federal government. I started out of the Bush School in the Presidential Management Fellows, the PMF program, which is a great program if you're interested in public service at the federal level because it's a pathway in with a lot of development opportunities. I worked for housing and urban development, and then also for transportation and NASA in their international policy shops. So I got to do a lot of really interesting things at an international level for the federal government in a few different areas. I then left public service and did corporate leadership consulting, first in Washington, D.C., and then over in Singapore, and then did some work in Hong Kong as well during COVID before landing with International SOS. And what I do right now is essentially be a security and intelligence thought partner to major corporations across the globe. So I work primarily with those that are based in the Western US. So a lot of tech sector, media, entertainment, pharmaceuticals, and some nonprofits. How do they think about what do geopolitical events mean for the safety and security of their people? And then we also do some security operations. So providing security assistance, evacuations, and such for people. So I always joke with our clients, you can think of us as your own personal CIA, minus we don't do any of those really spooky operations. And so it's really just a great opportunity where I get to talk with people about global events and kind of what do things mean for them. So a lot of times in public service, you're thinking about what does this mean for the top decision maker, whether it's a governor, president, senator, etc. My decision maker just happens to be a chief security officer or a CEO, but oftentimes it's very similar approaches in terms of looking for how do we take care of our people.
Chandler, obviously. I graduated in 2021, so it looks like I am the newest former student from the Bush School. Unlike everybody else, this is not what I had in mind for myself ever in my life. I did everything I could to be a veterinarian, and then everything just fell apart because I didn't like it. So instead of applying to vet school, I had a breakdown and like, what do I do now that I've spent 20 some odd years of my life preparing for this? And my mom worked for the Harris County as a payroll person for my entire childhood. And I was like, public service seems pretty neat. Let me go see what that's about. And now I work in Washington, D.C. I work at headquarters for the FBI. I've been with them for almost 3 years. This is my first federal position with them, but I've done a bunch of different stuff, a bunch of really fun stuff, a bunch of really interesting things. But I've just been bebopping around there so far and never thought I'd work there. In fact, when I moved up here, I applied for 380 jobs, trying to get hired because I was a pandemic graduate. Even though it was 2021, we still felt those effects. And it just so happened that I applied for one that they tricked me, that it was a different place. And I walked in the door and they're like, oh, gotcha, it's the FBI. And I wouldn't change it for anything. It's been so much fun. I love what I do. The people are awesome. And so far, public service has been weirdly lucrative and super exciting.
My name is Llewellyn Lowe, and I graduated in 2010 with a master's in international affairs. I went in wanting to do diplomacy, and one of the great parts about our program was we had so many practitioners. And so in the first week, I remember hearing Ambassador Napper saying 92% of ambassadorial appointments are political. And I was like, this might not be for me after all. But I knew that I wanted to be in public service. I knew I wanted to be a part of that work. And so it worked out really well for me afterwards. I ended up working for a United States Senator for a short stint. And then for the last about almost 7 years, I've been working in state budgeting, which that just popped up on my radar unexpectedly. And it turns out I really liked it and I enjoy what I do. You get to do the best of, I think, everything, where you are learning about the different policies that impact all of the departments and agencies, and the restraints that representatives are
facing when they're trying to make these decisions about what to do, as well as some of the outside noise that impacts those decisions. And so I worked for the Legislative Budget Board in Texas for about 5 years, and now I am at the Colorado Joint Budget Committee. Both are nonpartisan committees, which is another thing that I love about it, because the recommendations and decisions that we send to our representatives are supposed to be coming from a place of nonpartisanship, just an evaluation of what the different departments' budgets are and what we think they should be going forward. So it's been a really honestly gratifying path for me so far. I've really enjoyed it and enjoyed working with some incredibly smart people across the state of Texas and now across the state of Colorado. The Bush School certainly prepared me. Really, honestly, the two biggest things in my job right now are writing and communicating to legislators. And we did a lot of kind of mock practice and different classes on that. And just, you hear it all the time. It's a little bit rote now, but how to think critically about things, how to ask questions. If you don't ask questions in this job, then you won't get very far in your recommendations. You really have to be able to be willing to ask those questions, the hard ones and the uncomfortable ones, and keep moving, and also answer some really uncomfortable questions as well. So that's me. I am one who went in thinking I would do one thing, and I'm now doing something else, and it worked out well.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Charlotte McDonald. I'm a geopolitical intelligence analyst for United Airlines. So I am on the private sector side of things now, but that is not where I started and definitely not where I thought I would end up when I decided to come to the Bush School. I'm a 2019 graduate with a master's in international affairs. After I graduated, I actually joined the FBI as an intelligence analyst, and I did that for a few years, which took me to Seattle. When I was in Seattle, I started to think about all these other companies that need intelligence analysis, that need a geopolitical expert. And so it kind of dumped me into the private sector. And so now I'm in Chicago with United Airlines, and I'm responsible for monitoring and letting decision makers at United know what's happening all over the world. So we fly to over 400 locations, over 70 countries, and they pay me to be the expert on all of those locations and security trends that are developing, that are occurring, whether that's crime, political instability, civil unrest, terrorism obviously is top of mind with aviation, but also overflight risk. So conflicts like we see in the Middle East, what does that mean for the plane that's actually in the sky? And so that is what I do day to day. And it's, like I said, not what I expected when I went to the Bush School, wanting to do public service. And I did do that for a few years with the FBI, and just seeing from there what all is available outside of the public sector as well.